welcome to TalkFCB and welcome here to Sevilla against Barcelona as the build-up very much continues here on the channel. I hope you guys are all doing well and I hope you guys are getting ready now for what is going to be a massive game. This really is the biggest test that we have, I feel, remaining this season, especially now with those injury concerns as Sergio Roberto and Frenkie de Jong are ruled out of the Sevilla game. And in this video, following on there from the match preview, following on there from the words of Setien, we are going to be discussing the two teams, head-to-head, all of the tactics, all of the team news. It's coming right up. Let's get to it. Starting here with Barcelona first and foremost, because I do feel as though 8 out of the 11 players are pretty much set in stone going into this game, with Marc-Andre ter Stegen, of course, there, continuing in goal, Jordi Alba returning there from suspension, and given the way that he played against Mallorca, that will be a massive, massive boost there at left-back, even though Junior Firpo did very, very well against Leganés. It's now also pretty much confirmed that it's going to be Nelson Semedo there at right-back, Sergio Roberto out to the squad and injured. Semedo is going to come in, a big opportunity for him in a very big game. Longley and Quique here will start together there at the heart of defence for the first time since football has returned, with Busquets and Arturo Vidal nailed down, I feel, in those midfield positions, and Lionel Messi, of course, leading the line there as our talisman. But for me, there are 3 positions up for grabs. This third man in midfield, the left forward here in the front 3, and also the centre forward position. Now, first of all, in midfield, there are 3 players realistically who are going to get the nod in this game. Could it be Ivan Rakitic? Could it be Arthur Melo? Or could it even be Riqui Puig? Now, I just want to say that personally, if Riqui Puig was to start in this game, I honestly don't know what I would do. And to be honest, I would love to see that kind of gamble. But realistically, I know that most likely it's going to be Arthur or it's going to be Rakitic from the start. Maybe we could see, though, Riqui Puig from the bench in this game, which would still be a really nice thing to see. Up front, I think out on the left-hand side, you're looking there between Martin Braithwaite or between Ansu Fati, 2 players who've really impressed there in the games they've been involved in the opening 2 games. And then in the forward role, it's either Suarez or it's Griezmann. And for me, it has to be one or the other. I don't think in this game, with no De Jong, with the midfield that we are going to be left with here, I don't think we can line up with Griezmann, Suarez and Messi. For me, that won't work. Not in this game. We need natural width. And that means that Braithwaite or Ansu need to start on this left-hand side, with Setien having to choose between Suarez or Griezmann to lead the line. And in order to discuss exactly who should be starting there in midfield as that third man, we do need to discuss exactly what Sevilla are going to throw at us on Friday evening. This, for me, is pretty much going to be their starting lineup. I feel as though 9 out of the 11 players are again pretty much nailed on. Vaclav here to start in goal, Reguilón and Navas there at fullbacks. They are very, very good form this season, both of those players, as are Diego Carlos and Jules Koundé, 2 excellent centre-backs there. Koundé, young, up and coming. Diego Carlos, absolutely magnificent in La Liga this season, and he's even been linked to Barcelona. In midfield, it's a little bit more up for grabs. You've got Juan Jordan, though, who's certainly going to start in that midfield 3, with Munir El Haddadi, the former Barcelona man, is in great form since football returned. He's going to be out to the left, out to the right, Sevilla's best player by a country mile, Lucas Ocampos, and then up front, most likely, Luke de Jong, even though he's had his critics this season. And I think in holding midfield there, you're looking between Fernando or most likely it's going to be Goodell there holding in midfield. And then the third man in that midfield, it could be Banega, it could be Oliver Torres, it could even be Franco Vasquez. But Sevilla also have those question marks. But let's move on now to what we can expect from their play. Because in order to understand what Barcelona really need to bring in this game and the kind of players we need to see in that lineup, first of all, you have to understand what Sevilla are going to bring to this game, because they are the team this season in La Liga who have the 3rd highest possession average in the league, only behind Barcelona and Real Madrid. And if you look here at 3 select games, we're going to look here at their game against Real Madrid. We're going to look at the game they lost against Celta Vigo. That's their most recent loss. And also their last performance against Levante. Against Real Madrid, as you can see, they had 48% possession, which against a team like Real is not bad going at all. Against Celta, they had 55%, and against Levante, they had 58% there in an away game. But Even though Sevilla this season do find themselves in third place, and even though they have had much of the ball and they can control in possession, the one thing I would say about them is, do they have enough in that final third? Because for me, under Lopetegui, they do have the ball, they do have that control, they've got a good style of play about them, a good structure, but for me, when they get to that final third, they panic, and they don't really have a plan to turn that possession into concrete chances. And that's certainly been a criticism of Sevilla this season, particularly there with Luke de Jong leading the line, who hasn't really scored an abundance of goals. And I think that inability there to turn that possession into real chances and actually make that move there into the final third, that's really illustrated when you look here at Sevilla's amount of touches and the passes they have in their opponent's box. Against Real, they had 5 passes completed there and made inside their penalty area. Against Celta, it was only 6 passes inside the box. And against Levante, in their most recent game, where I thought they were really poor, they only had 3 passes completed inside their opponent's penalty area, and that would be worrying. And that lack of creativity for me, it limits Sevilla. And I think we're going to see a team tomorrow who, no doubt about it, they've got very, very good players, but they're limited to the wide areas. As you can see here, again from these games that we've mentioned, these are the key areas where Sevilla are playing their football in, and as you can see, down the middle, it's non-existent. They do not have a real outlet there of play coming down the central areas. For me, they rely very heavily on their fullbacks, on their wingers, of course, and often those long spells of possession, what they end up doing in the end is just pinging the ball into the box time and time again from Reguilón, from Jesus Navas, into the box. We will have to be wary of crosses, but it is going to be mainly about protecting those wider areas, because as you can see here, compare that to Barcelona, whereby our performance against Mallorca, it was incredibly balanced. We had threats there on the left, threats on the right, and threats down the middle, and that is how it should be as a Barcelona team. And you can see there the difference, even Barcelona, between Mallorca and Leganés. Against Leganés, the team wasn't as good, we didn't play as well, we clearly weren't as balanced. And as you can see from the performance, that impacted us. We need to be much more like we saw against Mallorca. Keep that balance there, have threats all across the pitch, because we can hurt Sevilla. And with that all in mind there, when you're talking about this game, when you're looking head-to-head, it is going to be decided there out wide. That's why, for me, we need natural width here in Martin Braithwaite or Ansu Fati. I would personally just about opt for Martin Braithwaite, who was completely rested there against Leganés. He's going to be fresh, and also, he can work hard defensively, because time and time again, you'll see Sevilla down this right-hand side, combining there Navas or Campos. Navas will always be looking to get on the overlap and try and basically outnumber Barcelona in these kind of areas, and that's why Frenkie de Jong usually would be so good at covering in there. Now that would be my first question. When you're talking here about that 3-man midfield, when you're talking here whether you play Arthur or whether you play Rakitic, which player, first of all, would be more suited to this situation? Whereby in here, you need somebody to come across and help Jordi Alba, because there will be times in the game where Sevilla do get on top of us, where Sevilla do start having possession, and they start going down this right-hand side, and they can hurt you, because Alba will be drawn out here. You don't want to leave Ocampos there in 1-versus-1 situations against Clément Lenglet and Gerard Piqué, and you also don't want too much space as well left out wide so that Navas there can ping balls into the box towards the head of Luke de Jong. That is something that you simply have to avoid. Now, on the face of it, what you would have to say is Rakitic is more suited to a defensive job than Arthur Melo is, and many people would say in this game, maybe play it safe. Arthur, to be fair, I don't think he played well against Leganés. I don't think he took his chance in the team and really proved to Setien that he should start this game. And in a defensive sense, Rakitic is a safe option. But can we start this game? Can we really start a game of this magnitude with Busquets, with Vidal, and with Rakitic? For me, that's still a question. Because even as a massive Arthur Melo fan, even I can admit that Rakitic right now would be a safe option. He would be somebody that could put in there, and he may not be spectacular at times, but I thought against Leganés, he was actually pretty decent. But the question that I would ask you is, even though he may be better defensively, even though he may cover those wings very, very well, would you personally, in a game of this size, in a game of this importance, would you feel comfortable in this situation with the midfield of Busquets, of Vidal and of Rakitic. Because the problem that we have is that when we've gone away from home against Sociedad, against Valencia, against those kind of teams, very, very good teams, but also good, quality, hard-working players, there will be a point in the game where Sevilla do this, where they get the wingers very, very high, where they do press from the front, where you're closing down there Sergio Busquets, when we're closing down there the centre-backs, and we can't actually play out here into the full-backs. And we're going to be in a situation where you're basically asking your midfielders to show for the ball. Are you going to be confident there with Ivan Rakitic to help us there escape that press? I am not sure whether we can get through this game with the midfield there of Busquets, Rakitic, Vidal. I don't know if it's fluid enough to actually get around this kind of intense press from Sevilla. And that's why I do believe that Arthur Melo, it may be risky, and like I say, against Leganés, he didn't do himself any favours. I will be the first one to admit that Arthur should have taken that chance better. He should have come out in that game and really, really performed, but he didn't. I hope that here we do give him that second opportunity, that we do give him that second chance, because I would be so much more confident here playing that ball into Arthur and then actually feeling as though we can get out of that. We do have the ability there to get around the press, to get out, to play our football, because in this kind of game, you don't want to get smothered. You do not want to get penned in your own half without any outball. And I think this game, there is so many tactical aspects that we are going to see come to life. So that there, guys, is my thoughts on Sevilla against Barcelona. I think the lineup and the team selection there from Quique Setien, it is going to be absolutely vital in this kind of game. Like I say, big decision there to be made up front. Suarez or Griezmann? Surely not both in this kind of game. Out wide, Braithwaite, Ansu Fati. Which one would you go with? And of course in midfield. That for me, the biggest question of all. Who would you go for there to partner Vidal, to partner Busquets, Rakitic, or Arthur Melo? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. The build-up is complete. The game awaits. We have to overcome this challenge. We have to get the 3 points. We have to maintain that lead at the top. It all comes down to this. Now it's time for Barcelona to show what they've got. And Quique Setien is under pressure to get it right. I'll see you after the game, guys. Let's hope we can get the right result. Please, please, please. I will see you then, guys. Thanks for joining me for all 3 build-up videos. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.